So ICE has arrested a criminal illegal alien serving as a local police officer in suburban Chicago. Now, if you know anything about federal law, you can't be a criminal illegal and carry a gun. But that's not what's going on in Chicago. Hanover Police Department authorized a legal alien to carry a firearm in violation of federal law. What kind of shenanigans do we have going on in Chicago? Let's get into it. Here we go. It took me a while to work out. How did he become a cop? They not do any background check? No, they did. They did. And here's the thing. All right, let's get into this first. Illinois bill will allow non-citizens to become police officers. So this is the background you need. New bill taking effect in coming weeks will allow for non-U.S. citizens to apply to become police officers. House Bill 3751 passed by both chambers. I mean, why wouldn't it be, right? While the bill generated plenty of criticism, J.B. Pritzker emphasized that the legislation would be limited to individuals who are legally allowed to work in the U.S., who are legally allowed to possess firearms. But somebody who's here not legally as a U.S. resident isn't allowed to possess firearms, period. But we have the ability for people who are legally here in this country and permanent residents and DACA residents to apply for jobs as police officers. What could go wrong? Shenanigans, right? Shenanigans. Representatives Mary Miller and Lauren Boebert were among Republicans to condemn the bill, arguing that the legislation would allow individuals who entered the U.S. illegally to apply for positions. And that's what we've got going on. That's literally what's happening. While conducting targeted enforcement operations in Rolling Meadows on October 15th, ICE Chicago arrested an illegal alien from Montenegro who was recently sworn in as a police officer in the Chicago suburb of Hanover Park. That is kind of to the north and west of downtown Chicago. It is a suburb. Officers assigned to Operation Midway Blitz. Oh, that is great. Operation Midway Blitz. It sounds like something out of World War II, right? Identified Radul Bojovic as a B-2 visitor visa overstay who is required to leave the country by March 31st, 2015. Been here 10 years illegally. 10 years. And hey, can I be a cop? I get to carry a gun. This is going to be great. These are the shenanigans that it's like my state, Washington State, handing out a commercial driver's license for some dude who can barely speak English, isn't a citizen, and then he crashes it in Florida and kills people. What could go wrong? Well, those kind of shenanigans where legal U.S. citizens end up dead. This guy illegally overstayed his visa by more than 10 years. Illegal aliens are prohibited from owning or possessing firearms. Full stop, said ICE Enforcement and Removal Operations Chicago Field Officer Sam Olson. This is the second known instance in recent months of a local police department hiring an illegal alien and unlawfully issuing him a firearm while on duty in violation of federal law. So this is where the local law and the federal law, local law, if you're in a sanctuary city, state, county, city, most of the time they go by state and city, right? If they've deemed themselves to be sanctuary protected, then kind of doesn't matter, right? They're just going to allow these people to become police officers, even though it's a violation of federal law. Now, if you know anything about federal law versus state law or local law, the feds always trump, right? It's the trump card. It's the trump card. Hey, federal law supersedes local, period. So how does this work? Well, is this guy going to get deported? Oh, yeah. 1 minute you're a police officer in the community. Next minute you're getting deported to Venezuela. You're just getting deep six. Just boom, out of there, right? It's alarming how local jurisdictions continue to disregard federal law to the detriment of their communities. It's nuts. It's nuts. Tomorrow, Tomorrow is a Saturday, and there's going to be a whole bunch of no kings protests. No kings, no crowns, no thrones. I mean, the whole thing is just imaginary. It's so imaginary. It's like, oh, we don't want any kings. Okay, all right, I'm down with. I mean, I didn't elect a king either. I elected a president in a presidential election. No thrones. Okay, I mean, whatever. You want to say no thrones, and then you want to throw out no crowns? I mean, even if somebody wants to wear a crown around, I'm okay with that. But you're literally making stuff up that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And then on top of that, you're going through ridiculous stuff like this of, hey, let's just hire a cop who's a criminal illegal who was supposed to have been tossed 10 years ago. 2015. Shocking. Upon arrest, 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗛 provided his employee identification card, confirming he's a police officer with the Hanover Park Police Department. You imagine being ICE and going, okay, can you give me your name and social security number? Well, I don't have a social security number, but here's my work permit. And the guy's clearly a cop, right? He's a cop. I guess. I don't know. What was he wearing when he was arrested? Who knows? Confirming he's a police officer with the Hanover Park Police Department, 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗛 also admitted that he had no weapons on his person because he's only authorized to carry his firearm while on duty. Okay, so he was off duty. But he's not. He's not authorized to carry a weapon as an illegal in the country. So there's that, right? But a big Democrat state, big Democrat city like Chicago, they're just going to allow their citizens to have a bunch of people who aren't federally approved to be roaming through the countryside, just doing whatever, abiding by the law, enforcing the law, but just not federal law, because this guy isn't supposed to carry a gun. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? As an alien illegally present in the United States, ICE officers immediately placed 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗛 under arrest. This is just the latest instance of Governor J.B. Pritzker's continued refusal to abide by federal laws, jeopardizing the welfare of Illinois residents. I mean, what do you even say to that, right? Sorry, we got a criminal illegal in the midst, and he's supposed to be out of here 10 years ago, but hey, it might be, citing you for speeding, but yeah. How about it? And what's unclear is if this guy has actually, I know he was in the process of being sworn in. Some of the stories I couldn't quite work out where he sat within that process. Let's move on to another one. Let's move on to Fox. ICE arrests illegal alien sworn in as suburban Chicago police officer. Okay, so he's sworn in. Let's see what Illinois police officer living in the U.S. illegally been arrested for immigration authorities by Department of Homeland Security, they announced. And we talk about Operation Midway Blitz, which we just read about. So he's right in the middle. Right in the middle there. And the country he's from, Montenegro, is by Bosnia, is by Sarajevo. It's just to the south of there. So think the Balkans, right? Think the Balkans. He's from there. He's supposed to have been out of here 10 years ago. Here he is, a cop. A cop. I mean, I had no issues with people wanting to be a cop. But you got to follow the guidelines. And what's crazy is he actually was following the guidelines of Chicago. The people at the Chicago Police Department, the department where he was sworn in, they had every right to hire him per local law. And because they are a sanctuary city in a sanctuary state, they don't really give a damn about ICE. But then when ICE comes to town and says, hey, you got to go, everybody gets all worked up because, they're taking our guy. He's a cop. Well, he shouldn't have been a cop because by federal law, this individual should have been deported 10 years ago, right? Either work it out or go. But I mean, this guy just knew, right? He knew. He knew his time was going to come at some point in time. And then this guy's name comes up and they're like, hey, wait a minute. Oh, we have a police officer that we need to go after. What? What do you mean? Well, this guy's a sworn in cop, literally. So initially I was talking to a man in blue and I was trying to work out, well, how did that happen? It happened because Chicago made it happen with legislation that said, oh yeah, you don't have to be a citizen. But how do you work that through knowing the guy's going to carry a gun where illegal aliens can't carry a gun? So we're just flat out not following the federal law. What other federal laws aren't we following? What are we just going to start making stuff up? Oh yeah, there's state law. It overrides federal law. We don't worry about the federal law. We just kind of do our own thing here in Illinois. And that's what Washington does. That's what Oregon does. That's what California does. Federal laws. Who needs them? J.B. Pritzker doesn't just allow violent illegal aliens to terrorize Illinois' communities. He allows illegal aliens to work as sworn police officers, said Tricia McLaughlin. 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏 violated our nation's laws and was living illegally in the U.S. for 10 years. What kind of police department gives criminal illegal aliens badges and guns? Democrat ones that just want to promote shenanigans. Because what could go wrong? What could go wrong here? I mean, how many other violations? What about your oath? What about just getting through the background check? I had to do an employer check for an individual that I've been associated with professionally through a professional relationship, designated managing broker. And it wasn't the FBI that called me. I think it was, I could look at my text messages, Department of Homeland Security. I'm pretty sure that's who it was. But he was down at the joint base down in Tacoma, and he was calling, and there was just question after question after question, stuff that came up that I wasn't able to answer for my guy because I didn't know him to that extent, which is pretty common because oftentimes when you have a professional relationship, you don't know, hey, has he ever been in a situation where he, pledged allegiance to another whatever, cell in the Middle East, something like that. There was a whole bunch of questions like that. And when I got to thinking about all the questions I had to answer about a guy who was looking to get security clearance for a position with whatever entity DHS was checking out, probably something military related, clearly. So the vetting process, the hiring process, I mean, they had to have known that this guy's a criminal illegal. He's here in the country illegal, which makes he's committed a crime, immigration crime. So there's that, but we're just going to ignore it and go, wow, we need some more cops up in here. Again, what could go wrong? Shenanigans. It's a felony for aliens to even possess a firearm. A law enforcement officer is actively breaking the law, she added. Under President Trump and Secretary Noem, ICE is restoring law and order. Criminal illegal aliens have no place in our communities, especially on our police forces. Shouldn't that just go without saying? Especially on our police forces. Doing what? You're hiring cops that are criminal illegals? Okay. All right. I mean, again, what could go wrong? On August 22nd, Facebook post by the police department showed 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏 being congratulated. Hey, there you go. Hey, way to go. For graduating from the Suburban Law Enforcement Academy. He's since been replaced on administrative leave pending an investigation. Yeah, you think? He's also detained in an ICE facility. He's going to be deported. He now begins an intensive 15 weeks of field training. Well, not anymore because ICE has him because he's been here illegally for 10 years. An evaluation as he continues preparing to serve the Hanover Park community. As a criminal illegal illegally possessing a handgun, probably illegally hired. But hey, let's ignore all that and let's just send him out into the field and, hope he gets the bad guys. Wait a minute. He technically is the bad guy from an immigration standpoint. And it really doesn't matter kind of which law you're breaking there. It's like, all right, you gotta do your thing. I mean, you gotta be in compliance. Not in the sanctuary states. That's the big key, right? That's the big key. And especially with Chicago, with Illinois, who's bent over absolutely backwards to accommodate these folks, including letting them be cops. Shocking. In a news release, the village of Hanover said 𝗪𝗧𝗛𝗪 was hired in January. The city confirmed that he was legally authorized by the federal government to work in the U.S. Okay, so the city confirmed he was legally authorized by the federal government to work in the U.S. So Biden administration handed him work papers. He's here able to work, even though he's here illegally and has been so for a decade. He presented the city with a work authorization card, which he had. They handed it to him. There you go, Johnny. There you go. All right. Get out there and get that job, which was issued by the federal government's U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, it said. And that allowed him to become a cop because then the city can say, per federal standards, even though the federal standards don't allow you to become a police officer, local does, and that's what they're going with. They're basically just shit-canned federal law and said, we want our boy to run around and arrest people. Bottom line is that all information we receive from the federal government, this is the local entity, all information we received from the federal government indicated that Officer 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗛 is legally authorized to work in the United States as a police officer. Notice how they worded that, is legally authorized to work in the United States as a police officer. Is he? Because cops have to carry guns. And if this guy's a criminal legal, he can't carry a gun. So is he going to be that one cop with no gun? He's got a really big nightstick. He just gets out there and just beats the F out of people with his nightstick. No, you got to carry a gun, right? That's how this game is played. And then, so he's legally authorized to work in the United States as a police officer, but then he's not, right? Because, yeah, you can't if you're a criminal illegal. So you see the contradiction there? Clearly, without that authorization, the village would not have hired him, but you did. And the village probably knew that he was overdue by 10 years for deportation, but because they're a sanctuary city in a sanctuary state, they went down that road of, let's just hire him anyway. We'll see what happens. Again, what could go wrong? Additionally, the village has not received any notice from any federal or state agency that his work authorization status has ever been revoked. Well, okay, it probably hadn't. That doesn't mean that he's here legally, though. Still means he's a criminal illegal. He's not here legally. Crime has been committed. Criminal illegal. So, yeah, here's the other zinger. This is where we get to, okay, all right. In addition, the U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, ATF, determined in January that 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗛's immigration status allows him to carry a firearm while on duty, just not in his personal life. Oh, no, you can't carry one. You're a criminal illegal. But ATF has said, oh, yeah, he's good to go. Give that boy a gun. Let's get out there, Tiger. So ATF said yes. All the other feds are going to say no. ICE is going to say no. So you've literally created a situation where this guy, he's not legal on any of these platforms, any which way you look at it, and he's got a gun part of the time. Whole thing is so wonky. This is what happens when you start to go down these pathways of, well, if we just tweak this a little bit and allow criminal illegals to become cops, should be fine. Let's just do it. We need more police. This is not how you do it, folks. If he is permitted to remain in the United States and remains legally authorized to work in this country, he will be returned to full duty status. I'm not sure that's going to happen, right? I am not sure that's going to happen. Under what guise does he get citizenship? How does he become a permanent resident? If he's on a list saying, hey, he's got to go from ICE, and that's why Operation Midway, whatever it was, determined that he's, in play. Hey, gotta get this guy out. Wait, he's a cop? Guy's a cop? All right. Yeah, makes no sense, does it? Yeah, this is Chicago. Makes complete sense. It's a mockery of the law, and this is how things go sideways. If you don't follow the law on this kind of thing, and then you got situations like this, and it just becomes imagine if you were a prosecuting attorney and somebody stood up and said, the officer that's involved in this charge, in this court case, he's a criminal illegal, and he's been deported from the United States. And the defense attorney is like, what? We're doing what? What kind of case would that leave? So any charges that this guy comes up with, any arrest that this guy comes up with, can be argued is done by a criminal illegal. He's not here in the country legally. I mean, just put that into play. See what happens with that, right? I mean, what could go wrong? Card was valid and recently renewed, it said, and a full background check, including his criminal history with both the Illinois State Police and the FBI, was conducted. No immigration status. Did he not check that he's illegal here on his immigration status? Are they not asking? Is Illinois not asking at all anywhere? And the FBI, are they not asking? Because it seems to me that would come up somewhere along the lines. I was thinking about all the questions the DHS guy asked me, which I didn't have the answer to. Has there ever been an instance where your guy, thought about this or said this? Have you seen a social media post where he's been defamation of the United States of America? And I started going through all those questions that I was asked, that most of them I didn't know. And I thought, how did this guy get through? I don't know. I have no idea. No idea. Federal authorities said 𝗪𝗥𝗘𝗠𝗜𝗨 was in the U.S. on a tourist visa. They required him to depart by March 31st, 2015. He's here 10 years later. As an officer, 𝗪𝗥𝗘𝗠𝗜𝗨 was approved by the Pension Fund Board of Trustees in this past January 2025, eligible to start receiving a salary of $78,000. Additional police records indicate his 2025 earnings were $205,000. That boy has been doing some overtime. And here's a good one. Pritzker recently sued Trump administration to block National Guard action in Illinois and has feuded with Trump over his threats to deploy U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents to Chicago. You're going to complain that ICE is coming to your community and you are allowing criminal illegals to be hired on as police officers? What kind of down underworld is that? That is literally mentally insane. It's insane. It's nutty. I guess I don't really care if he's, good cop, greatest guy in the world. You got to have some kind of standards, and you got to follow those standards. And oftentimes it's the federal law. All right, what's the top dog? What's that say? Okay, you can't be a cop if you're illegal. Whole thing is outside of the boundaries of what the United States should stand for. But hey, when you've got half the country going, no kings, no thrones, no crowns, that's how you kind of understand. All right, that kind of mental retardation, for lack of a better word, that kind of mental just stupidity. No kings. That's how you get a situation like this, because you think, you know what, we're just going to let this happen. And Officer 𝗪𝗥𝗘𝗠𝗜𝗨. Oh, wild, right? Wild. All right. That's it for me on this one. one was an upsetting one. It's just like, what you doing? What? Most of the time, I'm like, whatever. You want to screw yourselves over. But this to me goes beyond those boundaries. This to me is should be a hard no-go. Should be a hard no-go. Deep six that guy. Get that guy out of here. And don't care if he's a cop or not. Know what I mean? Just, no-go. We'll see what happens. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for joining. Bye for now.